let's call the men. I want to hear from the men, especially Alex Boothang here. He's like, say it right. Say, you missing a part. So please, let us know what part she was missing in the story. Let us know. We're calling all the men to the stage. And I love this segment because I heard my husband's story in our very first infertility event. Marlene, after 15 years, heard her husband's story last year. And there's so much power in their story. Because oftentimes we think we're the only one going through it. But theirs look different. And we cannot ignore their version. Because they holding it together. Even though we physically going through the shots, they're going through it emotionally too. And because of timing, and I know my husband was like, nah, I'm only more than 50 minutes. Okay. He was cussing me out, guys. Because of timing, I do have to let this place go by. So for those that can stay, I know you came to an event and you over here trying to clean. For those that are able to help, we will take your help. We're not forcing you. But for those that are able to help, please, we'll be great to help so I can clean and get the place back. And the owner is amazing. I think she stepped out. So if you do have an event coming up, this is a great place. She's a Christian and she is hands-on. And I just met her and I love her already. And she's BSO, so she got BSO.
Girl, you taking about 10 minutes.
I'm sorry, maybe that's what I'm trying to get to. But please enjoy. Yeah.
Good evening at this point, I think. It was morning when I came here. I had this whole thing written on these cards, but because of time and just listening to all the stories, I'm going to switch it up a little bit because I feel like the emotions, and we've been very emotional, so I'm going to try to divert and stay away from the cards as much as possible and just turn this into like a conversation. We're going to start off by letting everybody introduce themselves. I'm Abner, and just better have. Sorry, babe. I'm a combat vet, served in the military. So I think Sam left, but when she was saying in terms of husbands as being, man, still it's hard, not showing emotion. That's me. I did 2 deployments in Iraq. I seen people die, and I don't cry at funerals. My grandma passed, my mom passed. I was the one there just telling everybody, hey man, come on. Just, I'm that person. And this journey has morphed me into a different person. I was sitting over there like, your glass is getting fogged. So anyways, I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves and then we'll start.
I think you all feeling that over there, Shane. Alexander's other half.
Thank you.
That's not what Alexander
said. With all the stories you heard,
Let them introduce themselves.
That's how I said, man, Alexander.
Yeah,
let the man talk.
No, I'm just saying that it's just interesting. Everyone's story is unique, but somehow similar.
Yeah.
So, together that much, like you said, I'm not much of a fan myself. We're here.
Hey, how you doing, everyone? I'm Joseph Kendrick, the other half of Dr.
Everybody gonna look. We love.
Yeah, I'm an advocate for infertility because what we went through in our story. So yeah, it's good to hear everyone else give their portion, and then we'll actually give ours right now.
Good afternoon. I'm Sam. I wear many hats. I'm a husband, father, foster dad, adoptive dad, podcaster, And I've actually never shared this aspect of my story in public, but I'm excited to share. Exactly.
Okay, so again, this is a new segment. This is a new segment in terms of just us men sharing. I did it a couple years ago. Sandra has been very voiceful. I've been very vocal on whether it was YouTube or whatever in our journey in terms of talking to other men. But we're just gonna jump right into it. Because the word infertility, like I never knew. I truly till right now, it's still like if you ask me to define it, like the dictionary definition, I'll probably stumble to it. But I couldn't do it. But so I want to ask you, all gentlemen, when you hear the word infertility, what's the first thing that pops into your head?
You want to take?
Being in the medical field, I do the accurate definition of fertility, but growing up in the islands, infertility is flat out means you can't have a child. What it is, and like most people have said, that's not something to talk about. When we spoke of it, it was kind of there, and there's kind of a negative connotation that's attached to it right now. So I'm glad that they're from different generations, taking like you said, and we're kind of a positive spin on it. So, we can make it our thing so that we can, put more information out there, and help people, so, kind of on different things.
I mean, when I think about infertility, it's just the inability to, get pregnant. I mean, I think as a man, you go most of your life hoping not to get someone pregnant, right? So, and then when it's time to get pregnant and it's not happening, you're like, whoa, what's going on here? So that's kind of how I would kind of categorize it.
Oh yeah, the same here. Infertility, not being able to conceive a child the natural way, is what I take it. And like you said, we don't really talk about it. I didn't hear about infertility, the actual. I knew about it, but I didn't really talk about it until my wife having to deal with it. Nobody in my family ever taught about miscarriages, not being able to go to term, heavy periods, fibroids that my sister had, and I didn't even know until years after she had to deal with it. But she had kids, so it's like I think these type of talks, conversation with men especially, can help a lot of other men that's going through it. That's really silent. I mean, suffering in silence, and they're probably there with their spouse about it, but they don't have anyone else to talk to about it to get through it. So yeah, it's a good conversation.
Absolutely. With me, just being, as I believe most, just being from the Caribbean, like I really never really thought about it, but it's the same thing. It just almost had like a negative connotation, right? It almost feel like something was wrong. Now, in hindsight, after going through this journey and everything, it's when I hear it now, I hear purpose. I hear chosen. Like God is not punishing you, us. I said not you as in one, but God is not punishing us. There's a purpose, there's a reason. You were chosen. And my wife says it all the time. God, I'm not your strongest soldier. There's a story, there's a purpose behind it, whatever form it is. And we'll talk about miscarriage, pregnancy loss. We'll talk about all that. But and like I said, I'm gonna keep it real casual. But then we'll jump right into it. So while going through the journey, like what was going through your mind? Like what feelings? Because a lot of the time we see our spouse with the injections and the going through the hospital, and we're there. We have to put up this. We have to, right? Because you're the head of your household. You have to be there. You have to show that strength for your wife. But I know for me, and I'll answer that part first. But I'm not gonna lie. When I leave that doctor's office, my wife goes in the room. I'm broken. I'm hurt. I'm pissed. I'm questioning God like many of you all. But I try not to do that in front of my wife. While going through it, what was going through some of y'all's mind?
So similar thing. we can rewind back to our first topic where she got her correction. You know, I'm a registered nurse, and my specialty is trauma and death. I deal with dying, that's not something that is like dying, death is a part of life. I don't shed tears and stuff like that. I deal with it all the time at work, and I compartmentalize really well. So no matter how bad something is, as soon as I clock out, back in my mind, I'm home, with my family. But that was the first time that something that I've seen all the time. It's different when you're a person, you're a patient. You return, it's a whole other different feeling. And I remember just listening to the doctor talk and looking at her, and I see her breaking down. And I comforted her, and I'm like, I'll be right back. I remember at that point she's right. We just started. We were dating for a while. To that point, I definitely remember she never seen me cry before. And I went to the bathroom, and I bawled like a little boy, a little baby. And then I came out. She probably knew the eyes were red and everything. But I came back and I said, let's do this. And I had a hard time with the doctor. I'm like, listen, whatever happens in there, she's the number one priority. And whatever else, we'll figure it out afterwards. Make sure she comes out of that OR, everything will be figured out afterwards. And he was pretty understanding her. That's kind of why he said this point. Through the IVF process, it was a lot. Same thing, you have to get stoic that rock for her. And you look and you see her going through shots, emotions, the hormones, everything that comes with Lord knows when the estrogen was hitting, it's like Jesus Christ. Yo. And
Who was that?
And they never remember.
Yeah.
They never remember.
That was fine. That
Yeah,
was a sweetheart.
I never like that. It's our you're one.
That was a sweetheart. I
But
said, what to you?
there were days when I was like, if I could literally take from her and carry the pregnancy myself, I would, just so she wouldn't have to do it. It was very difficult. At the time I was working in Miami, and I used to have a routine. So long as I don't know if you guys are down here, but usually from door to door was like 104 miles to the hospital. You know how Miami traffic is. That's like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive. Sometimes I get out of work, it's rush hour, I take a nap in my car and knock out. Because everything is so scheduled and time sensitive. Her shot was due at 8, maybe 9 o'clock. Means I got off my 12 hours. I left home at 4 p.m. yesterday. I got to drive home, no nap, tired as hell, falling asleep, just so I can get home and get that shot on time. The process itself from IVF through pregnancy was there's so many hiccups and obstacles, but at the end of the day, it's I remember when we finally got pregnant, it was like a big breath, and I felt like I couldn't exhale until we got to that point where everything was here, and she was healthy, and we were good, and that's really the only way I can describe it. I could go in with more, but I got to share a little bit more.
Well, unfortunately, like everyone up here on this panel, I don't have a success story at the end about having a child. I'm the one that did not, and I was always, I'm the baby of 3. My father is the baby of 12. So I was the last one to be able to carry on my grandfather's name. So I always wanted to have 3 kids, just like my mom. But of course, that didn't happen. And I was okay with it because they say, tell God your story, your plan, and he'll laugh because that's not the plan that he has for you. So I was okay with it, but in that moment when I knew that wasn't going to happen, my wife had already had 1 myomectomy. When I met her, like she told you, she had the 2nd myomectomy. I knew about fibroids, but I didn't know it to that extent. So of course, I equipped myself by doing research, find out what's going on. Okay, in the research, I found out that, hey, the man always seems like that they're not the problem, and maybe, okay, it's just the woman's fault. But no, it was a lot of stuff that I realized I did in my young adult life growing up. You like to go out with your homeboys, drink, smoke some cigars, like to go to the exercise in the gym, but all those things could, cause you to not be, I say, batting 1,000. Like we say, oh, all my soldiers shooting and everybody's still and they all strong. But of course, you realize that when you start doing this testing and you start seeing it, that, hey, it's not just her. I'm affected in this too. I mean, I have a part in this, so I need to check myself. So doing all that, checking myself, realizing I wasn't 1,000 either. So now we're in this together. But I was happy that I wasn't a bat 1,000 because now I can take some weight off of her to say, hey, it's not just you, it's us. You know, we're in this together. So now we're gonna fight together to see what's going on. And if on the outcome is not, we don't have a child, then I'm okay with that. But I want to have you. So like she told you the story, you know, second myomectomy, we're pregnant now. I mean, we're married. I proposed, we waited a while, and the doctor comes out to say, hey, I know going into this, we wanted to save the uterus, but she said, there's been so many times, you know, of course, every time you take something out and you keep going through it, it gets weaker and weaker. She said, now we're at the point to where if your wife was to get pregnant after this, you can do IVF, you would have to make a decision, choose between your wife or the child. I was like, what? Oh, no, man. Do what you got to do to save my wife.
Yeah.
We'll figure all that out after the fact. So what turned into a 4-hour surgery, went to 8 to 10. And after that, I don't even tell my wife because I'm like, all she wanted to do was give me a child. And now I have to tell her that you no longer have that option anymore to where she wanted to have the child natural, home birth, you know, carry the child, have the baby shower, do all of that. And I understood it. But then to go through all of that and then now she did everything right, degree, school, do everything like you're supposed to, you know, not start young and you did everything right. Like, Lord, what's going on? Lord, are you punishing me? So I wanted to take some weight off of my wife by saying, hey, it's not you, it's us. And when I told the doctor to save her, because if I want to have a child, I want my wife there. Right. And if I can't have my wife, then hey, I'm cool without having a child. I always thought I wanted to have kids, but I got nieces and nephews. I can be a good uncle. I can still carry the name on. By this time, my brother had a son. So I said, hey, now he has 3. I said, well, like, it's just enough to carry on our name, and I don't have to do it. So I just wanted to make sure I was there and I was present with her because the pain that she went through, like she said, had to go on some hard surface. I laid on the floor with her plenty of nights after they have to get out of the bed. And I didn't know what to say. I'm like, I'm here, I'm present. And that's what I would tell a lot of men, just be present. Be there in the moment. Never make it seem like they're going through it by themselves because, and my brother told me this story and he was like, it's all good, you are not gonna have a child. He said, but from that birth, what you see now is Dr. Katasha Wellness Collective. Purpose. Yeah. Through her pain, she found her purpose. And today to see my wife sit here and talk about her story and share with you all without crying. That's a lot. Because she said it. She was angry at God. And I knew we went to church every Sunday, but we didn't go because I know what she's dealing with. So I'm not pressuring her and say, let's go to church, because I know you're angry. But I wanted her to accept the fact that you're angry with him. But tell him that. He knows you're angry already. He can feel it. But if you don't start accepting it and saying, Lord, I'm angry, I'm mad at you, you won't be able to get through it. So I thank God for the waiting room at our church, that ministry that saved my wife's life. And me going every day now made other men start coming and being with their significant other, their spouse. Because why? They're not in this alone. They have to know that you're with them. So, and that's why I want to know, and I love these groups right here because I want to do more of these to show other women and men that, look, you're not alone, that we have a voice. And if we can just have one group, one couple to get to that end game, which is have a child, it may not be the way that they all want to go, right, but as long as they get to that goal at the end of the race and achieve that, then our story will be great. And I'm okay without having a child. I'm comfortable with it. We're good in it, and we're gonna be okay. But our story and like you said, the purpose, the business that was constructed from all of this, that's our baby. My brother told me that. He said, hey, the business is her baby. Every year is gonna change. It started off as a child. Now we're in the adolescent, teenage years. Yeah. We'll grow on to go into bigger and better things, and that'll be our baby.
You got help, man. I see. She over there. She can't contain her. She's like, I should have been watching her face. I love seeing.
So my journey is different. A lot of zigs, a lot of zags. I remember from the very early onset, I wanted to be a dad, right? So I'm one of the lucky guys that had my dad in his life, and my dad was always about family, and he just centered his whole life, his ecosystem around family and serving his family. So, when I wanted to, when I met my wife, I was like, I was certain I wanted to have a bunch of kids. As a matter of fact, I'll share part of my testimony, my story is I'm a foster dad, all right? And how I got there was a bunch of circumstances that got me there. But one of the ones that left the biggest impact in my life was when I was in 8th grade. My then girlfriend, I would walk her home from school, and she told me that her stepdad was raping her after school, right? And I told her she needed to say something, and she did. And then that kind of started her journey through foster care, right? So, with that story having a big impact on my life, I remember I was in college, and I had a vision, and God came to me and said I was going to foster and or adopt 17 plus kids, right? And I was like, that's a lot. That's a lot. But when I met my wife, I told her, "Is she game for this? Is she down for this journey? Because I gotta be obedient." And she said that she was, right? And kind of similar to the story that he shared, you make your own plan, and then God laughs. We said that we were going to start our own family first, and we were going to foster once we had a baby, right? And then that started a 7-year long battle with miscarriages after miscarriage, after failed IVF, after more miscarriages, and then we were like 7 years in. It felt like a black cloud over us, and we get pregnant naturally. And like a similar story that's shared, you got to wait 8 weeks. But we had an infertility doctor. She said, "I'm not going to wait. I want to go in right away." Right. So she slides in, right away. I slide in, with her, and we're at this appointment. And then they do the scan, and they don't see anything. And then when they find it, it's in the tube, right? I remember like it was yesterday. 125 beats per minute, right? We both look at each other, and we're like, we finally got a strong heartbeat. And he goes, all right, I called to the hospital, go over there, and they got to take it out, right? And we go from being happy, we're still happy that we finally saw a strong heartbeat, right into multi-hour surgery, and them saying that it had already ruptured. If we would have waited, we would have been in deep water, right? So we finally get to the point of fostering. We take in a sibling set on December 3rd, 2019. And then on December 28th, we're blessed with the conception of our son. All right. And we kind of took that as the sign that this is where we should have been the whole time. And just want to just share with you guys, sometimes things are delayed, right? And sometimes there's also opportunity elsewhere, right? And it's hard to come to grasp with that idea that maybe it may not be yours, or maybe it might be yours, right? But as a foster dad, as an advocate for children that have been through challenging experiences, I just wanted to share that there's so much opportunity for these little young souls if they're in the right environment. So.
Oh boy. Okay, so I think we have like maybe 1 more minute, and I cannot end the panel without touching on this. Well, it's actually two, but I think I'm going to cut it down to one, only because and my son is here. He heard me talk crazy, so it's all right. Did it, and how did it affect or enhance the sex life? I'm just because that's a big one. A lot of ladies want like I'm talking about from the time of being engaged or dating, and then to finding out how it was before versus how it is after, and such. Real quick, we don't have to go into details. We don't have to because we'll have another group. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Yeah.
So there was I think it was about 4 years in between both the topics, and I guess the reason for that in the back of my mind is so after the first one, like when she came to the hospital, I was in the past, I did it, and just seeing her in that state, I didn't address it. I didn't address like I think I just kind of like suppressed it, everything that what happened with the topic, just so I can help her recover. And it wasn't until later on I actually addressed it with a therapist. But I didn't address the fact that I really was afraid to be intimate because I didn't want the same thing happen again.
Yeah.
So I kind of withdrew, kind of calculated around the windows just to make sure, and then kind of crazy. Like when I actually moved past it, windows are not very common. So it's kind of tricky. But I mean, in some cases, when we got married and we wanted to give it a Yale college try, things definitely got a little much spicy again. But like you said,
I'll make mine even quicker, right? So, Sandra and I dated in high school, and she dumped me right before we graduated. And so I ended up going to the military, was gone for 6 years, came back. I was engaged, somebody else, she was engaged or whatever, and long story short, we got back together and everything. So at what's the word? At our wedding, I'm sitting there in the altar, and I remember, and I made a joke about wanting like a whole soccer team and everything, right? So the 6 foot kind of like changed a lot because when your wife's dealing with endo and the pain and level of pain, it's something different. And I didn't know that then, but I thought, okay, we're gonna get married, so I can have, we're gonna have much sex, we're gonna do it every night. That's what I was a grown adult thinking that you get married, you're gonna have sex every night. That's what it was. And then to find out, to see her just in a lot of pain, but all jokes aside, to see her in a lot of pain, the journey for me has gone from very, very good to okay to like, just like you real concerned. Like every time I made love to my wife, it was like literally she was in pain. So I'm like, dang. So where now I did something to my mental, so where now I started changing, and then, and now I think by the grace of God, but pow, 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 pow.
Very relatable. All of it. But a few times there was early onset, and when you have experience with miscarriages, you sometimes see like spotting, right? And I just remember like, especially like towards the end, very similar to the other guys, I'm like, I don't want to touch you. I'm scared. Like, especially in the beginning, I don't want me to add to any offset of anything. And then once we got past certain barriers, then it got really good. and it stayed really good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Praise God.
Praise God.
Praise God.
I would say we never had a problem when it comes to
Okay.
I say at the beginning. Let me start there. At the beginning, we never had any issues, problems, but like I said, it was great. It went from being great to okay, and then to the point where I was more concerned about, like I said, with the endometriosis, the pain. I can see it on your face that you're having, you've been intimate with me because you're my wife.
Yeah.
You want to give me that, but I can see that you're in pain while we're in it.
Right.
And I'm like, are you okay? Well, stop asking that. But like, no, I can physically see that
right.
something is wrong with you. So it's like you said, I got to the point where like, okay, well now I'll try to make it seem like I'm not going to try to force it. I'm not going to try to ask for it if you're wanting to. And it's like going from that point to now having to deal with the after effects, of the, what is it called, perimenopause, and you all know, going through all of that, wearing fans, but I mean, all of that. But it helped me by going to these sessions with her.
Yes.
I mean, finding someone to say, hey, well, there are suppositories for that, to where if it's making you to where you're drier than normal, and then help you out. So hey, those things like that, thank God for technology, has helped us get back to that point to where it is back to great.
Yes.
But, we still go through when she's in pain, I understand, and I'm like, I'm okay. Let's just do something else, or, whatever we need to do to get to that point. But I want to make sure I'm understanding, because now I know what you're going through and I know what you're feeling, but I don't want to make it seem, put a pressure on you to do it, because I'm willing to we're in this together. So yeah. But no, it's good though.
Awesome. And hold on, Mike. I'm gonna just open the last little bit in it, and then we're gonna wrap up. I need like 45 more seconds. Because God mentioned something, and she said when she gave you a way out, I had to touch on that, and I think we all can share, right? Like, what was I think she wants to know, and everyone wants to, like, when your wife tells you, "Hey, if you want to leave me, because you understand, like, what does that sound like to you? Not what she meant, but what did it sound like to you at that time?"
It sounded like she was giving up. I mean, I knew that question was from pain, not from what you really wanted to happen.
Yes.
So when she gave me the out, I was like, "No, I'm not going anywhere." I'm like, "I asked you to marry me. I knew prior to proposing to you that you had fibroids. I knew that you had a myomectomy with me, and then we had another one. So it's like, I knew what I got myself into when I asked you to marry me. So why would I be like a coward and put my tail between my legs, like, and run off? Like, nah, my mama didn't raise no.
I love that.
No weak man. Even though my father wasn't there, my mom always instilled in us that was our father, and I always said that. My grandma always told me, any day above ground is a great day. You make the best of it. So now in this point, I'm like, no, I'm not going to leave you. I'm going to stay with you, and we're going to work on this together, because I chose my wife. I got to choose you. I don't get to choose the plan that God has for us after that, but hey, we're going to do it together.
Yeah. Word.
I'll share this. Is actually kind of triggered some, which is actually very relatable to what you shared. Because in our situation, it was male infertility, and the testing that came with that is very limited. So after years and years of trying, I actually said to my wife, "You have an out." Right? And I never actually shared that before, and she looked at me like, "Are you crazy?" I'm like, no, this not working. It's not working. I'll share one more thing, which I've never shared outside of the four walls of our home, but I already told her before I came here. I was like, I'm going to share this. Yeah. Right. So it got to a point where I said to her, "All right, listen, I want you to have a baby. And even if it's not my sperm, I want that to happen." Right. And we went down the road. It was like they said, before that you go down that road, you want to see a psychiatrist. Right. So I already talked about the vision of having all of these kids. And I said to myself, if I'm going to do all of that and I'm going to love these kids like my own, I'd be okay with that. Right. And so saw the psychiatrist, went through the hoops there, went through 2 rounds of IUIs, and it didn't happen in that way, right? So it's not something that was clearly easy for me, but I was willing, and I know people probably don't talk about that at all. So if I can help one person in getting that off of their shoulders, that's what I'm able to do.
Yeah, I didn't get a get out card. But I will say, like the whole, like you mentioned, the whole thing about like, from the beginning we kind of figured like the doctors that it was more transportation issue, but we still have to both get checked out regardless. And let's talk about the getting checked out part. We're in this creepy ass room.
You're right.
Like DVDs from 1980s. And everybody know what you're doing there. 20 people outside the door.
Oh,
Quiet as
magazine.
hell. Everybody quiet. As soon as you close that door, everybody quiet. I keep talking. Make sure noise, man.
They're like, damn, bro, if I do this so quick, they're gonna judge me like but we did the process, and then the part of me is like, damn, no manner of extent, we do that like shit, but yeah, this could really be me. And then I don't know when my results came back, they emailed it to me, and I was at work when I got the email. I went to tell my wife, I go, we're good to go, we make babies. And then I stopped midway to the text. I'm like, damn. So if I'm good to go, like, the wife is hurt. And I'm like, and I sat on that for a while because I'm like, I don't want to be. I look like if that's a possibility. I don't want to be the one to like put that out there. So. But fortunately that was the case. But yeah, I think that's right, man. I feel like we might have to address that.
And we want to thank everybody for this could go for another hour. We want to thank everybody for giving us the platform. Thank you so much for all the work that you do and putting this together. Just like I told you at the beginning, if 2 people showed up here, we still was gonna be lit. And I just, we're gonna post this online. I'm sure it's gonna get out, but I know a couple of husbands who took that cop. That's why I asked that question. I have my personal family who man said, "Oh, I'm out." And so to anyone who's listening, to any man, like it's the reward, the purpose. Like when you finally see that woman, or you are functioning in your purpose after doing nothing else. I have been through 2 tours of combat. Not tougher than seeing my wife pass out. So that journey has made me even a stronger person. That the military didn't make me that. So it's like the reward and the purpose, and to see her, publishing books, and see her doing stuff like this, and I'm like, man, I'd have missed that. She'd have been here with some skinny white dude out here. My husband left. I'm not. So we thank you guys so much. And appreciate it. Thank you for giving us the time.
Good job, my brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Yeah.
That's it. All right. So I'm gonna do these raffles really quickly because they actually booked another event right. Thank you.
No problem.
Right when we started, somebody else took the place. Okay.